I'm from the, I'm from the,
That's what's up.
I'm from the, I'm from the.
All right, baby, here we go.
One time for your mind, two times for your shine, three times for the grind, time is flying. You feel what I'm saying? All the way from the Bay, all the way across the USA to the NYC. That's what we do from Jersey, down to Texas and all the way back to Hawaii. You feel what I'm saying? This is Mike, Michigan. It's 2024. Happy New Year to you, wherever you are, all around the world. Welcome back. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, here we are again. It's Mike missing the spot with my co-host, B-Dub. What up, fam?
What's up, Mike Mish? Happy 2024, baby.
Happy 2024 to you, bro, man. How
My
was
boy
your
Preem over there.
How was your New Year's, man? How did it roll in for you, bro?
I stay at home
Right
and
on.
enjoy being around my family. That's all I do.
Well,
I don't go out now. I started going out like 15 years ago. I don't go out anywhere.
Yeah, me too, man. I had a situation where I flew back from Kalamazoo to New York City to Newark of all places, not really New York, but that's a whole nother story. But I did the same thing. I brought the new year in the right way. You know what I'm saying? I keep saying this. I'm gonna say it from the beginning. It's 20 Kobe, if you can dig it right now. And look, we have such a dynamite show. We just had a great show with my aunt Gwendolyn McClendon from Four Wind Prophetic Ministries. We also want to shout out Miss Vicky Wooden, who sent the watermelon tea. Oh my goodness, I'm going to drink this throughout the show again. It was
Cleanser.
terrific. The cleanser was the bomb. And also the show is sponsored by 2020 Optical in San Rafael. Shouts out to you, Doc, man. You know what I'm saying? But before further ado, today, y'all, man, we are stepping up our game. Ain't we, Dub? All because of you today, bro. You know what I'm saying? All because of you today. We super stepping up our game. We going there. Today, we have our guest. His name is synonymous throughout New York City, synonymous throughout the apparel company. We are talking about Mr. Lewis from #1 draft pick, Queens, New York's own, Mr. Supreme, Mr. Lewis. Come on and zap on in, please.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's happening, sir? Welcome to the show. I got a little ahead of myself. Is it okay if I call you Supreme?
Of course. That's what everybody call me by, so we can work with that.
Well, salute. Happy 2024, man. Thank you so much for being here on I'm from the Zoo.
Same here, man. Same here. I'm glad to be on y'all show. This is a blast. Starting 2024 on the right note.
Hey, man, without further ado, first of all, I want to say shout out to you. Dub, how did you and Mr. Lewis become acquainted, man?
Oh man, it's a crazy story, man. But the great E Love introduced me to him, and we've been boys ever since. So shouts out to E. You know what I mean? Been knowing him for a minute, man. One of the top apparel companies around, neck and neck, clean, everything quality, jackets, shoes, shirts, hats, hoodies. You know what I'm saying? Face masks, whatever it is, he got it all. Top line production coming up, man. And he been working a long time before this, but I know somebody that puts their all into the work that he do with his apparel company and how he advertises and how he helps the community as well. So shouts out to you, Supreme, man. It's good for you to be here today, man.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. I want to also say, when E Love introduced me to my man Brandon, it was a synergy. The way we talked, the way we communicated, and despite everything that we went through as far as meeting each other for the first time, we connected. I always felt, a bond with him, and I went with that, and then it continued to do other big things. I just love real people.
Right on, right on.
Appreciate that.
B-Dub is definitely one of the realest, one of Kalamazoo's finest, man. And look, you know what? Thank you. Let's just take it all the way back, man. Now, are you originally from Queens, New York? Where are you originally from? And how did you get your start? And I got and go ahead and share that with us.
Originally from is a little tricky because I'm originally born in Haiti.
Okay.
My
Happy New Year yesterday. Happy New Year this week, by the way. Happy Independence Day, Haitian Independence Day.
No doubt. And then I, came to United States and we lived in Brooklyn.
Okay.
But that was short-lived. And then my mother brought us to Queens, New York, where I actually grew up.
Now, what years was that you were in Queens?
I would say 74, because I came 72. We probably spent about a year and a half, 2 years in Brooklyn, and then moved to Queens in 1974.
So you were definitely growing up in the essence of hip hop in the beginnings, in the early beginnings in Queens.
Oh, man.
Most definitely.
Could you tell us about that from your experiences?
Well, my experiences, again, was always unique because I was part of the phase of hip hop when we did it for fun. I actually DJ. I was one of the cut masters for a group in Queens called Casanova Group. And I would be the guy that came and spark up the hip hop part of it, scratching. And I did a little minute microphone here and there, but I wasn't really a lyricist. But DJing was my thing. But then it was for love. It wasn't for money. It was just something you did for sports. And I took it that way. And I'll continue later, but that's how I contributed early on to the sport.
Now, you were talking about you were DJing for a group, Casanova, and some of the flyest all-time great hip-hop artists and great DJ producers' minds have come out and through Queens. Because you're talking about when you met Dub, some kind of the synergy. Could you also talk about that synergy of when you were coming up in there? Did you used to travel and go to the Bronx, or did you go to Brooklyn? Did you go and how was that? Did you see those LLs coming up and those type of things? Talk about that.
I mean, it's if I take you back, it's going to take you kind of away from that.
Yeah.
Because my era was just right before that, actually.
Gotcha.
So we were the fun part of it.
Yeah.
And I actually grew up from having fun and DJing, not taking the seriousness of it. I got myself involved in the game, actually.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And getting involved in the game and being productive in the game, I kind of undermined the whole music part of it.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But I was around it. I watched it. I saw it. Some of my buddies was involved with it, but I was more or less on some chasing paper.
Chasing some paper. All right. Because I know, man, you know what I'm saying? Because like to be in Queens and New York and to have a name respected like Supreme, that must means that you a boss doing some things and must be well respected. Let's talk about some of those things. Let's get into that.
I mean, boss is definitely something that was authentic because I played football. I'm a competitor. I love challenging people around me. And I love being right in what I say and what I do, not because I want to be right, because I believe in mathematics.
Right.
I believe in 1 and 1 equal 2. So if you can't prove that, then what you say mean nothing to me. Right. And being that I followed that, I always was right in things that I did because I only spoke about what I knew. And being aggressive and always challenging people around me, I didn't realize at the time that was the makeup of being a boss. Right. And that was the makeup of being a leader. Yes. And that kind of trended me into leadership role at an early stage in my life.
Right. Wonderful, man. And so like when you said you've also played sports, because we all here are athletes. That's really one of the main things that we had going for us growing up. And now when you play sports, you played football. What position did you play? And when you were on the field, what were some of them things that transferred you over that energy or them thoughts to working into your business and creating your brand?
Well, a few things happened when I was playing sports. I was real good at it.
Okay.
And I was naturally talented. unfortunately for me, being that I was a migrant from Haiti, my parents knew nothing about the sports. So I was left alone to tackle the sports on my own. So once again, I didn't understand the benefit of it. So
Right.
I took it for granted. I was talented enough to start, to get recognized, to play in my high school league. And my talent took me to flanker, which was a running back / wide receiver.
Yeah.
And on defense, I played outside linebacker / strong cornerback.
Okay.
So that part of it was the two positions that I played. I
Impacting the
ultimately
game on both
remember
sides.
losing my offensive position, which was a flanker, to playing defense full time because I was one, so good at it, and two, there was another player that was just as good as me, but more focused on offense rather than defense. So my coach decided to keep me on defense. Now my aggression, being that attacker, being that street fighter, which he called me, I was just aggressive, just loved to hit people, just loved to chase the ball.
Right.
For me, it was fun, but business-wise, it wasn't fundamental. But at the same time, the coach used to call me street fighter. And he used to be like, you need to, I know you want to hit people, but you have to control how you hit people. You know, it was just stuff like this that he used to say you need to be disciplined. And those things was what was starting to shape me when I didn't even understand that they were shaping me. The word discipline that he kept always instilling in me, which means don't just run and go attack somebody. Run under control just in case they make a move on me that I won't be left to the side.
Right.
It worked for me because young kids didn't have the tactics to swindle me. But I later on found out what he meant because we played one particular team that taught me a valuable lesson, fundamentals. I had raw skills, but I had no fundamentals. And when I went up against a team with fundamentals, they kind of danced around me one game. So that kind of taught me a little bit.
Right. Okay. That's big right there. That's word.
So so high school? You played in high school? Did you when did you lose the enthusiasm to keep playing football?
I
I was
played
about 19
I
for me.
played in high school, and we had a real good team. We lost the championship game 2 years in a row, and again I had the potential. And back then, going to college meant you needed to be in the top 20, top 20 colleges.
Yeah.
And at my time, it was unlikely. And my parents had 5 kids. And I watched them struggle with the early stage kids. So I knew for me, it was going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
And one of the mistakes I made being an independent loner, because my mother worked a lot of hours, my father was sick. So I practically had a lot of free time to do a lot of things and make my own decisions. And unfortunately for me, instead of pursuing my football career, I decided to pursue to make some money so that I would be presentable in college. And I wasn't enthused to go in college because I was not able to go to the top 20.
Right.
So for some reason, I felt like my football career wasn't going to go where it needed to go because I wasn't going to be in the top 20. And as a young man watching TV, seeing how big the players was, even though I was big, but in my mind, I was like, I'm not that big.
Right.
So this may not be for me. So I had a lot of the wrong concepts and no mentor to straighten up the things that I needed to as a young man to pursue football. And I made a critical decision and decided not to go to college. And at the same year, decided to go hustle.
That's okay. Let's talk about that. You decided to go and hustle. And now, so instead of going and saying, well, all right, because remember earlier you said you would put 1 and 1 together and they equal 2. You know how to march and move forward. So would you like to talk about it? Let's talk about it. When you got into the hustling days, what was your focus then? And how did that lead you towards your brand?
Well, my focus back then was get some money to be able to not only go to school fresh, because at that time, women, and people were making. Well, I was already fly from high school,
Right,
but
right.
I had a little reputation in high school, and I wanted to go to college with that same reputation. Misguided, of course, once again. So I decided to use that as an excuse, along with taking care of my sisters, because my father was becoming iller and iller as far as having kidney failure and on dialysis. So I used that as an excuse to go and attempt to hustle, because in my neighborhood, it was in plain day sight. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
happening right in front of us.
Right.
And back then, if you go back into the 80s, we had nothing else, frankly.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everything
Talk about those hard times. You know, it was like people get like because like see like kids
Yeah, Mike missed
nowadays
that's
got
the
the thing
crack.
backwards.
Crack. It was crack. It was a crack era. You know
Yeah,
that.
Well, you
I
know,
know.
it wasn't crack area yet for me. It was basically, snorting, which they said. And
Mhm.
for me, it wasn't about that, because I never, though, you go through a phase where you attempt and you try it, but I was never about it. I was more or less about that the one guy that I saw switching cars and moving around the neighborhood, I knew
Business,
that's what he was doing.
businessly.
Right.
You know what I
Moving.
mean?
Ooh,
So
yeah, motion.
Gotcha.
I ended up, purchasing, asking my father. This is a real story. I asked my father for $50, and he normally always give me what I asked from him.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
for whatever the reason was, parents' intuition or him not understanding why I was asking him for that. For the first time, I could remember him saying no to me.
Mm.
And when he said no to me, it wasn't no problem. And I remember going to do something again that wasn't really my style of wanting to do, but I went and took something from somebody,
Mm.
literally off his neck, and I went and pawned that, and I used that $50 to purchase
Mm.
what we called then a half a gram.
Mm.
Mm.
And with that, we put a gram, put that with cut, which we called then, and made a gram. And
Right.
then went to one of the customers that was waiting for one of the local guys.
Right.
And I went there and pretended to be the worker for that guy, asked
Right.
him what he needed. He happened to say a gram, and I
Yeah.
gave him a gram. So the 50 turned into 100.
Right. Right.
And I reprocessed that same philosophy over and over till I was able to purchase an 8-ball, where now I didn't really have to use cut if I chose to.
Right.
And
Exactly.
from that 1-and-1, fortunately in the discipline, unlike most people, I went from nothing to almost a potential czar.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm capable. I learned that I could make things happen. I learned that, I have intuitions that will guide me. I've created a fearmongoid, and I've built something from nothing.
Mhm.
And there's more around it. And I know this ain't the platform, but it gave me a perspective of creating something that I didn't go out to create.
Right. Right.
You
You
know
were
what I mean?
just trying
When
to create
I
something.
went to
Nothing.
make a couple of dollars,
Yeah.
and next thing I know, I'm making a couple of $100,000.
Wow.
And
Wow.
some luck happened too, because the same guy that in the neighborhood that I was looking towards, they had a case where his worker got busted, and that guy stopped servicing all his clients. And that one week, all the clients was all over the place.
Right.
And I was able to take the clients, get a phone, a place, and started passing out my number to all the clients and telling them, don't come out here, because if you come out here, people are going to rob you, which is what I knew that I was doing. So I used that fearmongoid to have him calling the phone. So having all that guy's clientele, I multiplied real fast. And
Quick.
that was the opportunity that went into my mind. And then the negative always follows right back, for the record. And because of the attention that I was receiving, I also attracted the attention of Knox.
So talk about that. Talk about that.
And
Because you know that because a lot of young cats right now, they just want to look and glorify the highs of the game, and they don't want to talk about the balance of the game. So if you'd like, you could talk about that.
Well, I'm gonna keep it short.
Yeah.
The knock came in. I was investigated for almost a year, and certain things. Even though I felt the vibe, I
Yeah.
felt it,
Yeah.
but because I was cocky and
When you say you felt it,
confident,
was it like an intuition, like a something?
intuition,
Yeah.
intuition of the movements,
Hmm.
going against something that I always, because I grew up in a white dominated area. 99.9% of my clientele was white. That was really my excuse for even indulging in that, because at the time I was righteous, and in
Right.
the righteous community they didn't like when gods were indulging in drugs or anything
Right.
in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
negative, even though they all did it. But the
Yeah.
older brothers always tried to get on us. So my excuse was that I wasn't selling to our people, I was selling to the other people.
Mhm.
And with that being said, in time, like everything, I had an opportunity where I was facing a case,
Mhm.
and I was facing a certain amount of time. I was also facing street beef, because in the process of building,
Yeah.
my dominance turned into fierce battles of just showing my dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And in essence, some of it ultimately was attempting to come back. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one part. The next part was the clientele opened up, the doors opened up to where I had an opportunity to walk into a czar position now because of the door. But
Right.
at the same time, I was looking at my family and my perspective. This is not what I'm cut out for. My family wasn't built like this.
Right.
This came about because of my perseverance and my attitude and my ambition. And I needed to figure out, what was I going to do? Was I going to take this next step into becoming a czar? And being that I was arrested
Yeah.
and they wanted me to cooperate,
Mm.
or they were going to put me in behind bars for a certain period of time. And at that time, I had a lot of paper and I had the best attorneys. So I wasn't really ready about it. I wasn't really fearful of that. But one thing I was fearful of seeing the development of what I was doing, because I was born with a foresight that I didn't fully understand yet at that time, but I was able to see things then.
Mm-hmm.
And in seeing it, I knew one thing, that my life was going to end up doing 20 something, 30, 40, 50 years in prison, or I was going to end up dead. And those two things, I didn't want that for my mother, because I was my mother's only son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I had the blessing of building something. And then when I saw the amount of time that my attorney prepared for me, which was 4 years, I made a decision, rather than to cooperate with the police, which wasn't what I was afraid of, because at that time I felt I had enough power and enough control of the ground to
Mm-hmm.
have done whatever I wanted to do. So I wasn't afraid of that, even though that wasn't my MO, because back then we fought against that. But
Yeah.
one thing I did know, if I do go in and take my time out, that was going to allow me to reflect on my life. And it would allow me to change my perspective. And it
Mm-hmm.
would most likely save my life. And I opted to take that time out. And that time out is what brought me to where I'm at here today.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you so much for elaborating,
Thank you.
man. That's really good. Thank you. Now, when you were, and appreciate that, Mr. Lewis. So when you were incarcerated and you were let's go fast forward. You came out, because everybody knows what you learned lessons in there as well. But when you came out, how did you get to start your brand, the _1 draft pick?
Yeah.
How did you start?
Okay, I'm gonna make it fast. Like I said, it's a long time. First thing I wanted to do is, I knew one thing, that I couldn't work for anybody.
Okay.
And I that was personal. And I felt another thing. I was spoiled with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I knew that the amount of money earning working wouldn't be for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that I didn't want to go back to where I came from.
Exactly.
So I had to figure out a way to go and work. So the first thing I did was got involved in construction. And it was unique why I did construction, because one, it was easy to do because you didn't need no talent. All you need to do is visually learn
Labor.
physical work.
Okay.
Right.
Two, it paid decently.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing for me was it wore me out during the day. So it left me little time for my brain to work. Because one of my issues is my brain don't stop operating.
Right.
I'm
And you look
always
like you look
building.
like you're pretty strong, so that looked like that was good, like a
Yeah,
physical and
I'm
mental
always
type.
building in my head. I'm
Everything was
always
working.
1 and 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 6.
Yeah.
I'm always building.
Yeah.
And that was an issue for me.
Okay.
So I said, the next issue was, how can I stabilize myself?
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to work, my next level was I didn't want to continue construction because I didn't want to make that my livelihood. So I opened up a barbershop. The barbershop was named First Choice. First Choice.
Okay.
First Choice Haircutters.
Now, when you opened up your barbershop, while you were doing construction, you opened it. I didn't mean to cut you off. Like it's kind of hard to get buildings in New York City, bro.
I mean, then it wasn't as hard as now. You're right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Because I remember them offering buildings for $1. And
Really?
you know, I could give you a lot of bad stories
Wow.
of mistakes we made. But
I used to live in New York for like 6 years.
yeah, for 6 years ago, when?
No, I lived in New York from the golden years, man, 1994 to 2000.
Yeah, so you know, from the 80s on up,
Yeah.
the opportunities was tremendously great. But
Okay.
none of us was aware
Okay.
that
I
they
see.
were opportunities.
Okay.
Because nobody knew what was going to develop over time the way it did.
Because when I got there, it was different. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But I was able to get a shop.
Yes,
And
sir.
when I got the shop, I was contemplating cutting hair. My whole thing was being independent and not working for the man.
Right.
And being able to do my own thing, make up my own hours. And after doing that for a little while,
Yeah.
I realized that, you know, barbershop was not something that cutting was not something that was going to suit right with me.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that you see in the Pinot. It's something that it's like an excuse for
Yeah.
wanting to work.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? And I don't down nobody who do it
Right.
because, as you know, it makes money. And
Makes
it's
money.
also a supplement when you
Yeah.
like fast money.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Or money every day. So it was a good thing. But I wanted more than just everyday money.
Right.
Because
Right.
I was blessed with seeing stacks of dollars.
Yes.
So my whole thing was I found a hustle
Yo.
that I thought
Yeah,
was
your
good.
whole drive was totally different. His drive was
You dream
No,
big,
like
brother. You dream big.
My joint was crazy. Then
Yeah.
I noticed something when I was in the hustle that kept ringing in my mind. At that time, it was beepers and cellular, beepers, not cellular phone yet. It was beepers primarily.
Right.
And I said to myself, damn, everybody's going to need a beeper eventually.
Exactly.
And it was just doctors and lawyers at that time and drug dealers.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I need to get into that. So I did the research. I found a company in my hood and I began to resell for them at my beeper shop. At my barber shop.
Okay.
I utilized the customers from there and I built a little small client. I would sell them the service back for $10 that I purchased at $5, plus selling beepers and this. And then I opened up a little small hole in the wall. In that same process, beepers exploded.
Right.
blew up.
I exploded with beepers.
You probably helped explode them.
And that was the beginning of making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I remember I used to own a Mercedes at 19, the
Come
big
on,
body.
man.
I paid $50,000 cash for it, right? When I came home, went to a dealership, I still had my Benz,
Yeah.
and the Benz at the time was 80-something thousand. And I remember saying to myself, damn, I guess I'll never own one again. And after the beeper run,
Yeah.
or during the beeper run, I should say, I was able to buy a Mercedes-Benz cash again. And continue to grow. money, houses. So that was the most money I made, complementing what I used to make from when I was younger.
Right. Okay.
And from that, I went to the recording studio. I had a strip club back then. I had multiple barbershops, multiple beeper shops. So my entrepreneurship had risen.
Right. So you were able to what they call as compound.
I was able to compound it
You were able
to
to
a point where I had a maximum of over 10 businesses operating at the same time.
Now you say you had studios, barbershops, all type of strip clubs. I'm sure you probably had a restaurant.
Restaurant too, yes. I had one down the block from my beeper shop.
Wow. Now, were they in Queens or were they spread out throughout New York?
It was spread out. Long Island, Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. You know, I had a philosophy, but again, that's another story. I don't want to go too deep into all the philosophies.
Right.
What brought me to that, and one of my friends used to always say to me, how are you successful at all these different types of business? Because I never look at business for what the business was. I look at the heart of the business. 1 and 1 equal 2.
Yes.
So it never, and whatever the demand was in that area, if I can work a solution for it, that's what I did. I didn't look at it like, oh, you know, I have to do everything one way. And what I was actually doing was searching for a way out. That's another conversation, which we didn't get into, because I always felt owning businesses in the streets, in the hood, like I did, I always felt like I was still in the street. You know what I mean? Because once you Black, every young man try to identify themselves with you. And I was always driving a Benz. I had jewels on me. I had a reputation. So everybody in the hoods always looked at me. I had some of the worst, I wouldn't say worst, some of the biggest street niggas was coming around me. And I knew of them. They knew of me because of my past. And I kept saying to myself, damn, this is just like me being in the street, except I'm not engaged or involved in the negativity, but I'm selling to all.
You leveled up on some other, like real levels.
Real levels. And I always felt like, damn, if I get into a beef and I conduct it the way I do, then that business is dead because I can't come back in there.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
so I said, I need a business that I can do where I don't have to be subjected to one location or a location. So that was like the beginning of the process. All the money I was making wasn't enough because I was not mentally comfortable. You understand what I'm saying? I always had the fearmonger of how I came up. You know what I mean? And I was only allowing a young kid to grow up one day to stick me up or rob me or use me as a pawn because I was being successful in the turf that he or she walked by every day.
Right.
So it's either that or I was going to square off on them. And guess what? I'm back again where I don't want to go.
Where you don't want to be. All right. So wow, that's very interesting and very insightful.
Boy, like Malcolm Farrakhan.
well, you know what?
Science, bro.
One thing, well, see, I'm from Kalamazoo, right? So you know Kalamazoo's real small. So when I first got to New York, I had first moved to Brooklyn. And like Biggie gave me my name. And I got that on accident type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So when I got there, when I got to New York, I had to learn about Queens. I had to learn about the Bronx. I had to learn about the trains, but to learn about Brooklyn and Manhattan and where to go. And I'm saying about this is because when you get there, it's such an inspiring place. You can be busy all the time. It's moving all the time. How did you keep all of that together while you were still thinking about all of these different things going on? Man, if I have a beef with this person, it's going to shut down this. I can't operate like that. How did you say, okay, I need the bullet. I need a self-proof, self-made product that I don't have to be everywhere like that. How did you get to the #1 draft pick from that?
Well, the #1 draft pick took a longer course because you know I tried the clubs, I tried all the multiple businesses, I tried the recording studio. I've even had a famous artist that was signed to me.
Who was
Tony
that? If you don't
Yayo.
mind, you don't mind.
Tony Yayo from G Unit.
What's happening?
His
Shouts
name
out to
was
Tony Yale.
Marvelous. His
Okay.
name was Marvelous, even though they don't speak about it. But,
Mhm.
you know, everybody knows. That's why I'm going live and speaking. He was
Yeah.
signed under First Choice, which
Okay.
was my company name. And, trying to help brothers,
Did you
basically.
work with Chris? Did you work with Chris Lighty?
No, I didn't work with Chris Lighty. But,
Okay.
I was around all of those guys. I had an issue that also plagued me.
Okay.
And I'm trying not to get into it because, again, that would take us to another level.
No worries,
But
bro.
I was one of the official. I'll use it that way. I was one of the official dudes in Queens.
Well, the reason why I has when we first started.
Let him hold up, Mike, man.
No. I got you. I got you, fam.
Go ahead, friend.
I'm one of the official dudes, right?
Right.
I'm one of the don't talk about dudes.
You know what,
I mean?
fam? And that's what I was saying. I knew from the beginning of your hip hop stage in 74. That's why I said that when we first got started, that Queens was popping when I got there. And I know that
it was popping.
That name Supreme, I heard that name, fam.
No, that name is big, and I'm gonna give credit to another brother that's doing life in prison.
Yeah.
He's actually living what I fought to not live.
I see.
You know what I mean? And we both carried the same name. We both came up together. We have histories together. I don't care to talk about it. Right. And, people who know. So it's not a secret for those who get to hear this, even though I don't rarely do this, but that's my man. Yeah. And I'm at a stage in my career. I know how to speak and I know what to say and what not to say. Yeah. And I'm not going to disparage anybody. Right. But at the same time, I can speak because everybody knows who I am.
Yes, sir.
And the reason they can't talk about me is because everything that I've done, 9 out of 10 times was done correctly. And I've always moved with deadly force.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. And I didn't violate nobody. I didn't bully nobody. But if you step on my toes or anybody that came around me, you was dealt with official movement.
Yes, sir.
And I stood by it, and we didn't rationalize, we didn't compromise. And when we ran through like SWAT. You understand what I'm saying? So I left a mega history in the street, which I always felt that would be good enough to carry me to where I'm at today. But I needed to learn how to respect it so I wouldn't taint it along the process.
Respect.
And I took a lot of L's in doing that. This is why I could speak about a lot of stuff, but I never got caught up into it. I never took offense to niggas not following the lead because I always knew where I was going. Right. I always knew where I wanted to go, and I always knew where I didn't want to be. And I was not going to let no other man control my narrative.
Come on now. Speak that real. Thank you so much for sharing that truth.
Man.
I got to sit back and take a quick second for that. We're going to have a little halftime break right here. We here on I'm From the Zoo on the Come Through Network.
Shout out to the sponsors.
Exclusive interview today with Mr. Supreme. And, when B-Dub told me that we were going to have the opportunity, the pleasure to speak with you, right? And that's why I wanted to, and I was very humble because I lived in New York and I remember, you don't know everything, but you pick up things quick. And what I was saying is, certain people ran certain areas around that time. And so Queens was ran by Supreme. I knew that. Brooklyn was ran by such and such. Certain areas over here was ran by such and such. The Bronx, such and such. You know what I'm saying? So you knew that when you moved, you had to move with people that you knew, right? And so I'm saying that, so you did the studios, you had Tony Yayo, and I was in the game at that time, so I know exactly at this level, how to talk and how to move. What do you think about this 50th year of hip hop in relations to how you were connected to the streets and into relations to how you wanted to move further to be into where you are today?
I think it's great. Obviously a lot of it I don't like, of course, because as we grow into an OG, as I speak my narrative of trying to be the best version of me, which is a better human being, it don't really align with what hip hop has utilized to become this big humongous star.
Talk
You know
about
what I mean? A
Mhm.
lot of people put it on their back. Some
Yeah.
careers ended because they tried to keep my narrative, and
Mhm.
others' career prospered because they had no souls. They just did whatever they had to do. And for me, I never really felt bad or felt like I missed out on something because
Mhm.
I learned early on, you know, what my narratives was. I had an opportunity to lose my soul for the game, and I didn't do it then when it was more prosperous
Right.
at that time. So for me to get involved with something that I could no longer control because of my age, or in the case of Marvelous, let me correct that because he was signed to me under his real name, Marvelous, and then he became Tony Yayo under G Unit under 50, who also used to be in my studio,
Okay.
and Banks, and all of them, and many
They
other
record some of
names.
that early stuff in your studio, in your
Yeah,
lab?
yeah, many other names. These was the underground levels.
Yeah.
Guys used to start talking about their career from a point, but
Okay.
the street knows. You know what I mean? There's
Oh, I
many
remember
Right.
when we first look when I first got to New York when 50 started bubbling, he came out with How to Rob. That shit right there, fam, was
different.
ridiculous.
50, I got to give him his credit. He always did
Yeah.
what he did.
How to
I
Rob.
just missed the opportunity to connect with him because at that time he was known as a hothead by my little team who was bringing him around.
Hmm.
And two hotheads can't be together.
I understand.
You understand what I'm saying? And anything that can trigger the old me, I tried to stay away from. So
Right.
when all the groups was coming in, I had a production company that was in place. I knew he was there. I knew all of this was going on. But
Okay.
again, I wasn't trying to go there. That wasn't my aspiration.
You were in different
You
Yeah.
levels.
understand what I'm
There's
saying?
different levels.
It was different levels.
Yes,
And
sir.
the reason I say I missed an opportunity is
Mhm.
because there's an uncle of his that was an ex-partner of mine
Right.
in the game. You
Okay.
probably heard about him. He used to go visit him in the feds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I didn't know how close me and 50 technically was
Right.
through him
Right.
because there was a gap when he was doing 23 years that me and him haven't spoken for him to clarify who 50 was. Or I would have jumped on even before he got shot because the groups that he got shot in, I don't want to say I could have stopped the future, but
Yeah.
there could have been some difference because had I got involved with him,
Mhm.
that group had issues with me in
Yeah.
the past,
Yeah.
and we've straightened a lot of that out.
Excellent.
And I think they would have looked at things in a different perspective. And
50 would have been able to be
I
in
always
your
felt
shoes.
like I wish I would have got the chance to meet him and know more about who he was, who he ran with.
Yeah.
I would
Right.
probably been closer to him
Yeah.
before that had happened to him.
You know,
That's
Gotcha.
another
you know what?
conversation.
I believe that, brother. And you know what? I received that in my heart. I thank you for that. Cause like, to be honest with you, this is the first time I'm gonna say this ever. Biggie gave me my name, and I had met Pac the same time. And Pac had invited me to come out and hang out. And for some reason, it just didn't happen. And I always think in my heart, had I kind of been there, I would have been that middle guy to maybe help them. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. And there's something going on now. Jump to where we're not probably going to get to. There's
Yeah.
an organization called Guns Down Life Up that I'm involved with.
Talk about
It's
it.
CMS, it's Critical Management Services,
Yes, sir.
where we interrupt violence by mediation and
Mhm.
stuff that I'm saying. Because back in the days, a name, once you pass the word out,
Yeah.
everything freezes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quick.
You understand what I'm
I
saying?
said that. I
And
said that earlier.
I
The
had
name
that
is
kind
brand
of rhythm.
Aries. Yes,
I had
sir.
that kind of rhythm
Yes,
that
you
if I would
did.
have passed the wire out, this is my dude,
Wow.
the rhythm would have rhythm a different
Brother,
direction.
it's an honor for me to be here to talk to you. I mean, because you know what, like I said, it's love. You something else. It is levels to levels to levels.
It's a different level. You don't always get too many people. And like I said, I've had
Yeah.
Don Diva, I've
Yeah.
had the Feds.
Yeah.
I've had so many people try to get my interviews from in the past. But
Wow.
I had refused all of them back in the days
Amazing.
because my name carry a lot of other shit behind it as well.
Yes, sir.
There's people that go put flowers on graves every year.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
I
I'm
do.
not saying it to say that it's a bad thing,
Yeah.
but the competition in me if you try to get with me, you're gonna meet the wrath.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that time, there was no holding back. You know what I mean?
I mean,
It's
New
just
York was it's a different
it's
animal.
just how you
It's the
roll.
same animal, but it's let's just say it like this. It's a historical place where you can't be no whimsical type of person moving around there if you want to make things happen.
Right.
And
And then I don't want to change the narrative.
yeah,
So I went to just to get back to #1 draft pick.
yes, sir.
I went through all these companies. Now my mind is now I'm convinced now music is not for me.
All right.
You know, and after 50 Cent did his move, and there's a couple of moves that happened in between that because they used to all come in my basement.
Yeah.
And there's a song that he dropped on Irv Gotti, Supreme, and all of them that was done on my studio,
Okay.
in my studio.
Okay.
And you know,
Wow.
I,
So
I have
all that
to,
early stuff was, you know what, they was, man, that was, I thought just to say for the record, the early 50 stuff that he was, now that I'm blessed to know that was recorded in your lab,
I
and
mean
that
that
stuff was
big.
the hot shit, man, on the streets.
I call you back.
You know what I'm saying? That was the movement, you know what I mean? And then
No,
like
it was some straight movements happening.
that underground DJs was flipping that stuff. You remember like we didn't have internet. It wasn't solid. The phones was the flips was coming out, you know, and the pages was cool, but you had to get that underground music and listen to know what was going on in the street.
Listen,
Man,
it's a lot to talk about that
crazy right
part.
now.
And like I said, I lived it, truly lived it. And jumping back to
Yeah,
First Choice,
yeah,
the more I saw niggas violating codes, and the more I said, okay, I need to stay away from you.
yeah,
And being that I was blessed with the strip club, over 50,000 a month cash without having to be there
yes,
in my hand because I had a team. Now I say all of this, I don't roll by myself. I have a team. So, and I take care of my team so I could do things. I'm gifted where I can move and not be there. You
absolutely.
understand what I'm saying? Because I've always had that level of respect. People who rock with me respects me. So it's not a point of, you know, me dealing with people that's gonna rob me. They might dibble, but they're not gonna fuck me over.
Right,
You
right.
understand what I'm saying? So, and if they're your people, you let them get away with the dabble and dibble because
Yeah.
that's your man. So I was able to do a lot of things without my presence being there. I just had to set up everything. So through the process of me recognizing that the music is too involved in things that you need to be to control it would be bringing me right back to things that I did in my past.
Interesting.
So I decided to let that go.
Yeah.
Not be behind it as much as I was, and stay focused in the clothing. After spending over $1 million in my own cash, just trying to learn, making mistakes and moving back and forth, and to result to nothing, I had to be like, wait, something is wrong. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm going to jump because this is a big story in the middle. So I'm going to jump so I can get to your end line.
Yes, sir. Take your time.
When I realized that I couldn't get what I wanted, I had to resort to the man above. I said, the only thing that I don't really contribute my successes for is the man above. Because I was raised early on, I adopted the name Supreme. That came with knowledge of self, which made me God. And being the Asiatic God, I believe that I'm the maker of everything. So one of the things that I learned over time of struggling, going from all of this independent business money to basically struggling again because the studio's not really prevailing. The strip club got shut down by Giuliani. The barbershop was in this maze. I'm not making the amount of money that I need to make because it's not growing to the next level. I had to resort to what I was doing wrong.
Right.
And when the man above showed me what I was doing wrong, it also showed me how to do it, how to get it right. And in the same process, I began a transformation of dealing with people that was not just my culture, just other cultures. and connecting with those that connect with me, not those that I want to connect with. And I ended up learning and getting involved with a company called, well, I created this company called Johnny Handsome and Johnny Girl with another company. And that was when I blew up in the game. That was when I was able to learn more about the business and got involved in the clothing game. $16 million later, the business I went back independent, started making several millions, less than 16, less than 4 or 5, but I was making 1 or 2 independently, stuck in one side because there's a difference when you're connected with the Jewish or the Chinese, the resource is bigger, so you earn more dollars. When you're independent, you earn less, but I made more because I was in control of everything and I had a profit margin. But I also knew that that wasn't where I wanted to be. And the recession taught me something. I mastered that, got involved with another business that I learned how to do, which is to use the bank money. The bank screwed me over where I started making over $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a month.
Yes.
Utilizing the bank factoring. They started flipping on me, talking about the aberrism, but that's another conversation because the bank covers you for a certain amount of money. And if you want more money from their money, they could say, well, we only cover you for a certain amount. So I don't
They
even
got
want
rules on top of rules, right?
Right. There's rules on top of rules for blackness. Because there were people that were not like me, that they were offering and had money that they couldn't even use. They were calling me to help them.
Yeah.
And here I am flipping a couple of $100,000 a month by the same company that you've been dealing with me for a month. Now you don't want to give me more money to keep growing that company.
Sounds like you need to be your own bank boss.
So, Eric, you want to know what made me turn into #1 draft pick? And that's what I'm giving you. Long story short, that's a low margin business for those who understand what I'm talking about. It's a low margin business, but it's also lucrative because I can get a big factor company to buy $100,000 worth of 100,000 pieces.
Yes.
And I make $1 from it. That's 100 grand for that month profit. Right. So that's another level. And the bank covers everything.
Wow.
No money out of my pocket. I don't even have to touch anything. All I got to do is call my t-shirt company, have them ship to the printer, email the printer my product, tell the printer when it's ready, ship it to Burlington. No nothing.
Done. Business.
Another communication. So now I decided to leave that business. And in the process of leaving that business, if you remember now, Rockaware. Where's Rockaware today?
No Rockaware.
Well, they had internal issues.
Where's Fat Farm?
They sold them.
Where's Aniche?
Gone.
Every urban company that I looked up to, they wiped them out.
Cross colors.
No.
Nike started around the same time I was grinding that we're talking about.
Okay.
Where's Nike today?
They still here.
Under Armour started in the middle of my career. Where are they today?
Yeah.
They still here on top of the game.
So I said to myself, I need to get into sports. Because why am I going to waste my energy into urban when they're killing urban at will?
Yeah.
Now that's another conversation. That's another story of how they do that.
Story. And you know what? We want to say something before we move on. Those brands that you named, unfortunately, they're not here, but they were definitely a big part of our culture.
Of course they were. But for some of us,
yes, sir,
it's offensive that they're not here anymore.
It is.
Now, there are a lot of other factors involved with the ownership of them, but it wasn't by accident.
Right.
Fat Farm.
And like I said, that's a whole other show. However, in my mind now, I knew sports was the way. Why? Because of longevity. 2, harder to kill.
Money.
And 3, I love to compete against the big boys. I don't take pride into
the underdog
with my people.
You on the
I
right
know I'm
place, you're on
gifted.
the right show here for
I
that.
know I'm gifted. I know I'm that nigga. I
Yeah.
know I can make anything I decide to make happen.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the problem is they give us stuff that they want us to compete against. That's why now you got a billion rappers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why the game is no longer authentic.
Mm.
They know what they're doing.
Speak on
So
it.
with that being said,
It
I
took
try
them. It took them a long time to do it, though, didn't it? It took them a
to
long
come up.
time to.
Well, everything takes
Students
time.
out here.
Everything takes time. I started this I tried to get this name called Robust.
Okay.
I searched the name because you know the process. And I was just ready to boom. And that's usually when you do a federal search and you either get it or you lose your money because it's taken by somewhere else.
Right.
And something told me to do one more search. And in that search, I saw something that was affiliated with the name Robust.
Yes.
So that wiped that out. In the process of wiping that out, something else clicked in my head after that.
Okay.
I said, what was you doing? You don't have the kind of money anymore it takes to create a name like that under that magnitude. I said, you need a name that can carry itself.
Yeah.
So my experience, that intuition that I'm telling you early on, started talking to me. And it started telling me what I needed to do. And it was like, okay, Nike done stole a lot of ideas from me. Yes, I'm going to say it. Yeah. Y'all know when y'all came by my booth for certain years and saw all my colors on my sneakers and my t-shirt, and y'all bought over 15 of y'all personnels at my booth when all them colorways started coming out in the uptowns. Y'all remember that.
Yeah.
Y'all know how y'all stole all my designs.
Talk about that. Where was that? When did that happen?
It had to have been around 2006 or 2007 in that area. But those who've been in those areas know, because the system is set up for us to be creative and for them to take on all the designs and add it to their brand. And I'll give you a prime example. Look at Trendy and Gucci today. They wanted to kill what's his name, who was copying them, Dapper Don.
Dapper Don, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, their designs all look like urban design.
They better, or they're not going to sell.
So they killed our brands and took all our creativity into them. But look at the process and the science.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, okay, I'll tell you what. If I get into sports, then I don't have to recreate the vision.
Right.
So I create a brand. Everything Nike, everything y'all motherfuckers do, I can do on my own brand.
Exactly.
I don't have to invent the wheel. I don't have to be creative now. So I'm going to take back from y'all, but I'm going to always add my twists, of course, because that's who we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, that was one part. The second part was I hit a milestone. I was over 50. I had a son now at a later age for a second wife. Yeah. My mind started thinking different. I'm like, damn, what am I going to leave behind for him? Yeah. If all of what we spoke about ultimately result to nothing, what the hell am I out here doing? But God has gifted me to be able to create something from nothing, which is the best part. So why don't I start the foundation, which I'm built for, I'm credited for, and then my kids could one day finish the rest and do what they got to do. Yeah. But they won't have to be street approved like me. They won't have to be able to make the brand worthy of being a brand because they don't have the background that we can't even talk about on this podcast.
That's real. That's real. That's
you
amazing.
What I'm saying?
That's an amazing vision.
The name came because having been part of when we did the cereal box in the business, where we had all the Jews running to get licenses because we were selling hundreds of thousands of pieces of Total Frosted, Flitzer for us, Tricker for us, you name it. Yeah. I had Fox calling me to interview me. I had people petitioning, but that's another conversation. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can get a name that is a big name already,
Mm-hmm.
and I could transform it into fashion,
Mm-hmm.
the end game. But as I thought and thought and thought, and know all the names that are trademarked, know all the names that aren't being utilized, I thought of them. Well, my wife, I'll give her credit. She said, "Why don't you do first draft? Because I'm first choice." She said, "First draft." I said, "Nah, that don't sound right. It gotta flow." And in that process, I thought of #1 draft pick. And I said, okay, #1 draft pick. Now, there's a little bit more sentimental involved in that, but I'm trying to narrow it.
Yeah.
So I started doing the research. I had my man, we did all type of research.
Right.
The only thing we saw #1 draft pick affiliated with was bars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bars and stuff like that. I said, shit, there's no name, but everybody wants to be a #1 draft pick.
Everybody.
Something else that I didn't explain to you in the clothing business.
Wow.
It's also racist and biased. And
that's what I was gonna, Big Bro, I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I was gonna ask you just for a G to G, a young G, asking a made G. You have money, no worries, right? You got the knowledge and the vision. You even know better than them. Why do they treat us like that? And how do you move that way?
Well, it's a fear factor. White people know that we're gifted. Mm-hmm. They know that we're dominant. That's another history lesson to get into. Those that understand the term dominance know where we can go with that. Yeah. We're the dominant genes. We're the dominant everything. So keep us the lowest, keep us the bottomest, keep us away from anywhere that we can prosper or we could be of inspiration.
It seems like it's in an industry, though,
Well, it's in an industry. Most people will say it's money.
Mm-hmm.
It's control, the big C.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that white people control, because if black people was in control, perhaps we'd do the same thing they're doing.
I was talking about that too, because I'm asking, because you got money, you are the blueprint. Feel what I'm saying, big bro? You boss, you've been on all levels that none of these cats up here at this level would even think about or know nothing about. Straight up, something from nothing. And you made it to their level where you could beat them at their game. And why don't they want to call?
They ain't got no choice, Mike Mitch. That's the pride factor after that.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't want you to control a narrative.
Here we go.
Of wealth.
There we go.
They don't
That's the cold cracker right there.
They don't want you to negate or stop their grandkids from having the life that they had.
Mm.
They don't want their grandkids to have to kiss up to you to become something. Mm-hmm. And again, to keep it simple, is the control. They want their race to stay in control. And perhaps every other race would have done that in today's world. Mm-hmm. We know we wouldn't, because we live in peace and harmony. Mm-hmm. We would have had peace around the whole world if we were in trouble.
Let me ask you a question. If black people today had, I'm not going to say reparations word. Let's just say that we had enough money that we didn't have to have a worry factor in our lives, worry about what we eat, worry about where we drive, worry about where we live. We worry about where we went to school. We took that out. We had money in the account. Everybody had 100,000 and they were on a clean board. Not saying that their mental health and everything was straight, but they had money. Do you think that we would live better, or will we give it away? What would we do?
We would do a lot of things to that perspective because we're damaged. Mm-hmm. It would probably have to take another century or two to cleanse our mind. It would have to be maybe 2 centuries later, kids that might be able to answer that question for us to really see the benefit of that question. Because we're so damaged that it's unbelievable how damaged we are.
Yeah.
And you hear people talking about it, know about it, we all know about it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, how do we fix it? I don't know. You just have to continue to move on. You got to believe. You got to stay firm. And like I said, God has chosen me to do certain things. And I've learned to affiliate my intuition. I've learned to stick to what I'm best at. I've learned to do certain things that is unlikely to be impossibly done. Because we all got a story. We're always gangster. We're always the man. But then when you look at what a man is doing today, does that correlate with how you was a man back then?
Right.
So I always thought for my stories to align, I have to be able to show the separation, the 8 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Where look at what I've done from nothing to something. Look at me taking a name and incorporating it in that big word. Look at me fighting against the conglomerate. Look at me making my people believe. Look at me having a name that they can't deny over time. It's only a matter of time. They can't deny it. They can't give it up. They can't stop it. They can't do nothing to it but just watch it work.
You own it. Now that they have to work with you. And speaking of that, how do the NFL, the ESPN, these other entities, how do they work with you now that you own the number 1 draft pick? That's yours.
Well, one thing about ownership of stuff like that, let me be clear.
Yes, sir.
It's only an area. I own the fabric clothing making of that.
Okay.
Sold of that.
Okay.
I don't own it as far as them utilizing the name, talking about it. However, the only difference is the more they talk about it, the more visibility, the more the more I get
free advertising. Yeah. More game. Yeah.
Just the affiliation. So one of the things that I wanted to achieve is the affiliation, because it's not about what they could do for me. It's about what that young kid feel like when they wear my product.
Yeah.
And they're hearing it all over the place, what it does for their ego and their mindset, that I was able to do that for them.
Wow. You know what? I don't know, but my heart, something just spoke to me in my mind. I don't know if this is going on enough, so if I'm naive, but something just told me to say to you that you are going to have a celebration dinner, foundation, big thing for every number 1 draft pick, from football to hockey to baseball to basketball.
That's what we want to see. That's
going to be an annual
want.
thing for you. I can see it coming. Like every number 1 draft pick, and it's going to be a historical thing, and it's going to be its own thing.
It's already in the pipeline to say it. We have a ring ceremony. We have what they call out again, a number 1 draft pick, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
We already planning to do all of this. These are all the. If I had an opportunity to pitch to the NFL, those are all of the things that I would offer for them to utilize.
Wow.
If I'm Nike, if I'm Under Armour, I would think one of them would say, we want to license this so we can do that.
Yes.
For our athletes, for our number 1 draft pick athletes.
Well, let's just say it like that, because we're going to be all over the place after this. Everybody's going to hear it.
You know what I mean?
We'll just put it out, like my aunt said. We'll just put it out there. Contact the number 1 draft pick. He's here.
My game plan is to put it out there, get our youth behind it, so they'll have to figure out how to incorporate.
Well, you know what? I will say this to you like this. It is going to be us. It's going to be the number 1 draft pick. You feel me? So you're a genius, boss.
Hey, not only that you're a genius,
man.
Listen, not only that you're a genius, he done perfected it, bro.
Yeah.
Like you can just look at the manufacturing. He the one made people want to go to the factories instead of going to the brand. You understand what I'm saying?
Stepped up the levels to it. And
he stepped the game up.
Because you've already stood your ground against the big major conglomerates. So that's what we're seeing right here, right now, bro. You're looking at a winner. You're looking at someone that is absolutely
man. You got good stuff. I see him on the you just start seeing your stuff everywhere. You got Dish Network. You got my man on the Dish Network. You pop him up. I see you got what's my man name? The rapper. He wearing this stuff now. My man Jadakiss.
But it just makes so much sense to have the number.
He just got so much stuff.
It's something to tap into what my man just said, right?
Yeah.
I just did a post last night. It has the name. It has in my Instagram.
Yeah.
No.1 at No.1 draft pick. It's the sound of when they're about to announce the number 1 draft pick.
I heard it last night.
And I said with the first pick, the number one draft pick is you. Exactly what he just said. And that's what I said because that's what I want people to feel. You're
Right.
number one draft pick. We
Right.
all the number one draft pick. We are inspiration to the greatest thing in life, which is who we are, the best sports players. And y'all not going to take that from my kids and our kids. And y'all not going to deprive everybody of who they are and what they could be.
And that's
It's
good.
what
And you know
goes,
what?
man.
And there it is. And that is said. And that is what it will be. Because
we gotta get him on. We got 2 minutes remaining. We gotta get
we
Preem
only
back
got 2
on here
minutes in the
for.
fourth quarter. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
We've been through.
We can
Man,
go overtime if you want to go
we
on
didn't even
overtime.
really. I mean, how do we do, bro? We doing okay?
Listen, I'm doing fine because
Yeah.
I know the story got to come out eventually.
Yeah.
I know I got to get accustomed to giving people bitches
Yeah.
so they can maybe make a story out of an area. Because like I said, my history is humongous.
Yes, sir.
I'm well overdue. I have a book that I can't even finish because it's so deep.
I can dig it.
I'm just afraid. I'm just afraid. You literally.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But again, I love to teach. I have some give back scenarios.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, for me, it's personal.
Yeah.
And my dream is bigger than me.
Yeah.
I've set this up so I could attack other people's dream. I got other people I would like for you to interview too.
We
That
usually ask that on the show if you could recommend someone besides
I was
yourself,
gonna
King
do
of
that, but I wanted to do this one.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to see it and feel it.
Mhm.
And I wanted to, and that's because of my man, because I don't open up to everybody. I don't open up my story because I hate not being able to really get real too sometime in the sense of say everything because with my morals, I'm not gonna downplay people.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna create controversial just to get popularity.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's something that I don't want to do. I know the consequences of life, and I know like how karma works, and I know how someone can look at your uplifting and now want to hurt you, all because you neglected to refrain from saying something negative about them.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, if I'm for the people, why would I be trying to dog another person?
Right.
So there's certain things that, I was raised in the wrong era, I would say.
Mhm.
And I love it because it was an era where we had integrity. And I know a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
It didn't mean you couldn't lose your integrity back then, but the fight for integrity was stronger than the fight for loss of integrity because there was no reward for loss of integrity.
Amazing. Yeah.
Back then.
Integrity was big. In your word.
So we stood firm on integrity because if you lost integrity, you couldn't make no money. Now you lose your integrity, you make more money. So it's a little bit
Wow,
different.
you almost got to say that again. There's a clip right there. Whenever they
That's
say
a T-shirt, Preem.
Listen, I have so much. Do you know how much money I made with? Listen, I had beef with the industry at one time.
Yeah.
Puffy, Rockaware, all of them blew by me when I was grinding in the clothing business.
Mm-hmm.
And I got another story where I helped put them niggas in their places too.
Yeah.
Rapper this, rapper that brand type shit.
Right.
Which I killed them with my Johnny Handsome game. But I used the whole momentum of what we used to build rappers.
Do you think that they blueprinted their thing? Do you think that they blueprinted much of their companies after success after yours?
Well, a lot of people did. Yeah. A lot of people did. Okay. I broke the black faces in the fashion sales game.
Come on now.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff in the game that people stole from me and my team and my creativity.
Well, that like you the brother from Wu-Tang, you guys have different visions with the apparel. It was way different. You know what I'm saying? And that
hey, Mike Mitch, we was on TV, looking at TV. I was on the phone with Preem. Yeah. I said, look at them at the Times Square on TV modeling, man. That's your chick gonna be that. You gonna be it. I swear to you, dog. The next year, that was a year ago. Yeah. This year, he was at Times Square with his modeling with his apparel on, bro. And we was on the phone talking about it, laughing. Was it Times Square?
Go ahead.
Was it Times Square?
Yeah, Times Square.
That's amazing. What I was thinking.
Spoken into existence like that quick, bro.
Let me
Like,
touch something you just said, because that's important too.
Yeah.
Now that we're in all this area, you're gonna get different perspective
Mhm.
because the game is set up for in different ways. I can't look at a Wu-Tang because they were gifted
Mhm.
in music.
Mhm.
They were received very well, so they can get a certain sponsorship or support that I, from a street developing a
Mhm.
1-2 step,
Right.
move and see things differently.
I'm listening. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Opposed to a football player like a Jordan, because of how well he played basketball, he could have the brand Jordan.
Right.
So depending on who you are in life
Mhm.
is the road that may be best suitable. But there's a difference in control.
Right.
Jordan only owns a speck of his company.
Right.
But when you want full control,
Yeah.
then you want to know me. Then you want to talk to me. Then you want to follow my blueprint.
There we go. There we
There's
go.
a difference.
There's a
But
difference.
if you wanna have the Jew man or the Indian man behind you, or maybe a financial guy behind you, then you might want to follow the Wu-Tang Clan.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, so there's different variation. I'm not down in neither one.
Right.
no, you just got your blueprint that is gonna be up under you. Ain't no, it's your shit.
My blueprint is for the everyday Americans,
What we're
the
learning from
everyday
you right
people,
now. Oh,
the everyday people who aren't lucky, who ain't able to sell their soul one way or another.
Yeah.
But they still want to live normal. They want to achieve great things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They want to live like everybody else. You know, I've done everything. My fear for was, damn, if my sons and them get to a certain age and they start hearing about what I haven't had a chance to tell them, that pressure is going to force them to go figure it out on their own.
Right. Right.
And if they have my genes and they go the wrong direction, like I've done a couple phases of my career, they may not be as lucky as me.
It might be curtains, yeah.
The difference is my pop did the ultimate sacrifice. He took us from Haiti, left a good job because he worked with the government. Not that it would have stayed good over time, as we know now what happens in Haiti.
Yeah, yeah.
And he left and brought us to America. So I give him the utmost praise for that alone. Because now he allowed me to do my thing. So I was never able to look down on him.
Shouts out to Pops.
Able to look down on him.
That's
so he left the best part so we could be the best version of us. So I have to leave the best part of me so my kids could be the best version of me that I didn't have an opportunity to be.
Man, absolutely outstanding. You know what? For everybody out there listening, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube or Facebook or joining us in for the first time or coming back, we thank you. Right here on I'm From the Zoo, we have had the pleasure of talking to Supreme, Mr. Louis. Man, it's been an awesome. Could you please tell us how that we could get your links for those that don't know how to find your brand?
Well, he already got it, but let him tell him.
Well, you know, this is for Spotify because a lot of people like to listen to, you know, like
you know, first on Instagram, you could go to no.1 draft pick at no.1 draft pick spelled out. Website is www.n1dp.com. One as in the number one, n1dp.com. That's the short version of it. Facebook is #1 draft pick sportswear. And if you Google N1DP or you Google, you know, #1 draft pick sportswear, I'm all over the internet and Google, you know, Instagram.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to be too hard to find me. Yeah. We're still grinding and we're still trying to come up. And I need the support. And like I said, it's for us. And
I will absolutely support you, man.
I'm satisfied with all the hoods buying my stuff. I mean, I don't have to service the mass. I don't have to service the world. I'm not being biased or hateful in any other demographic. No. But I want our kids who don't have a mother and a father to always look at my shirt and carry that as I did with the name Supreme, as I did when I chose First Choice, as I did when I tried to do a brand First Class. Everything I did was up the most high. And I think #1 draft pick will give them the motivation that they need to always remind them to be the best version of themselves.
Oh man, amen, bro.
Hey,
Already.
thank you so much, man.
Already,
you so
old
much for being
Supreme,
the best.
boy.
Wow,
And we
have
got to get
covered
him
a
back. We
lot.
got to get him back for the part 2 because we got to get him back for the part 2 on this what's the name too? Mike Mesh.
You know what? I'm absolutely thank you so much for it's been a pleasure having you here.
Remember one of the best
Thank you for like
interviews.
listening to some of my questions and and giving your direct insight and your super game. I hope that you all have enjoyed this show. I hope that you
One of our
listen
best
to it
shows,
again.
man.
I know that I have. Dub, you talking about having another show. I need to have my own private Zoom so I can just get up on game and level up. But out in the world having, you feel me? Because I got to ask what you know me, man. I need to get to where I need to be, where I need to be.
And listen, I'm always here,
True.
and I do that. That's another conversation. I got people.
You and I would have a real good talk. Trust
I got
me,
people
man.
that work for me making millions right now.
Yeah,
I've had
Yep.
people. I've
Yes,
made
sir.
millionaires.
I can feel.
My
I know
story branches off
Yeah,
to a lot of exciting parts. That's why when I said earlier,
yeah,
I don't do enough of this. I've
Right.
gone too long
yeah.
without doing interviews because I
This
was
interview gonna help a lot of. Hey,
Well, you know what though? I'm gonna help clarify something on this because I'm gonna give from the zoo a little bit of shout. Our show is different because we are gonna be coming with a little bit more of an intelligent perspective, more proactive for Black people. But plus, like I said, we're gonna be unapologetically Black, but we're not just against anybody. We just keep it real. And we function like that because, like I said, we independent, we our own brand, and we don't have to answer to somebody else over there. We don't have to answer somebody over here. We just keeping it real,
Listen, I gave you a
and
lot.
giving it to God.
I gave you a lot, and
Yes,
it's
sir.
not a secret. I'm not embarrassed of it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Yes.
I've done, a lot, and I'm going to continue to do more. I'm giving back more.
Yes, sir.
And like I said, I appreciate you guys as well. And, congratulations for even having me to do this. Not that I'm all of that.
No,
But,
thank you for having me.
That's,
Man, come on, man. This is a
Facts,
great interview, man.
That was facts right there. This is historical, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, learn something new every day.
Thank you, Doug.
Again, this is why I don't like to do these things because my shit is so vast.
Yes.
That I could get lost in and we don't get.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Man.
we gotta catch back up on Friday.
We could we would love to hear all the other things, but the main thing is from our story and our perspective is you said it. You started from you started from something and you started from nothing something, but you didn't start from nothing, but you took something that your parents gave you and you built something massive that people with their heads they could never some people could never get to the level that you're at. But some people that are getting there and they're gonna hear everything that you said. And they're going to take all of that game and they're going to incorporate that into their lives to get.
Oh yeah, you're gonna help a lot of people.
You just hit us on the side. You just hit the world with a chessboard when they still playing tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, I did the role, man. It was like a role. I was never satisfied. My ex-wife used to say, every time you accomplish one business, you go into another one.
That's can't a bad help man.
She said you can't help it, but she didn't understand.
Yes,
I used to try to tell her, if you're not content in the mind. A man, I always tell my friends and family and friends, a man's worst fear is himself. Mm-hmm. And if I feel a person can get to me whenever they want to, and they can control my narrative, something is wrong with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people can't get to you eventually, but if you make it easy, like a storefront, every day I'm walking to that store every day. And perfect example, Nipsey Hussle.
Walk right up to him.
Yeah. Look at a perfect example. Here's a prominent future, a prominent career, and a little 2-3 little bums ends that. And I had me being at one point one of those little bums who didn't care about the next man's livelihood or future or family. I have to protect myself from a nigga being able to just walk up on me like that.
Right.
That's real.
Right.
That's
you know
real.
What I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of that stuff is not so much that somebody gonna come do me something. It's the word that I used earlier. We are all damaged by one way or another, or of what we went through in our past, and we maneuver according to how we was damaged.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And this is how I utilize my factors to create, you know, to build, to become stronger.
Yeah.
I'm not just supreme because of the name. I'm supreme by what you see me doing, or what I've done, or what I'm continuing to do.
Don't talk about it, be about it. I hear
I'm
you.
not trying to compete against Jay-Z. I'm trying to compete against Nike, Under Armour. You know, what do I get competing against my brothers? Okay, I shame y'all. I'm bigger than y'all. What am I gonna get out of that? How am I gonna have a real interview? Because I came up, but I stepped on the neck of a bunch of mine.
Right. Amazing. Man,
Free.
what amazing facts we got right there. Man, Mr. Supreme, this has been an awesome
I don't
one.
want to keep going, man.
Hey, we don't want to stop you while you playing, but you know what? Check it out. We're gonna say it like this. This is part one.
We got a part 2 coming up.
From number
Yeah,
one
we gotta do a
draft pick.
part 2 of it.
And when
You
we
heard
come
what he
back
said. He
from
came
number
on here
one,
talking about 1, 2, and 3.
You know, we offline?
no, check. We can
Oh, we still online.
we can have fun.
Hey yo, I was about to tell you I'm 50 times deeper than what you just got.
You know
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Look. I'm keeping it jiggy because I already know. You know what I'm
This
saying?
is just, you understand what I'm saying? This is just,
We there. And you know what? With that, we're gonna leave it on here. Hey, Kiki, take us out. We appreciate it. I'm from the zoo on the Come Through Network. I'm your host.
Yeah.
I even forgot you were here, Kiki.
B-Dub, B-Dub, where you from, fam?
I'm from the zoo, baby. I'm from the zoo, baby.
Shout the zoo. Shout the zoo.
Hey.
My brothers. I love support my brothers first, man. Because if I ever become
Appreciate that,
something,
man.
I want my brothers to be able to utilize the best and the first. That's also something that means a lot to me. Man. I've turned down Fox News. I've turned down a lot of other media. You understand what I'm saying?
Exclusive.
Thank you for the exclusive.
Listen, I'm a different player, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a different player.
Hey, fam, can I keep in contact with you on the real, for real?
On the real to real, that's how we grow.
That's what's
I'm looking for a new team, a new network, and anybody that I could inspire or can feel that they could bring something major to me. I'm all open. That's my game plan. So I'm open not only to serve you. If you have anything that could serve me or anything around me, I'm open. That's what building is about.
I'm with that.
I need some more CMOS, nigga.
Let's go. Let's get it. Hey, shouts out to E-Love too, man. Shouts out to E-Love.
As he like to call me, he could tell you. He could tell you. Listen, if we still on the air, we off the air.
No, we still on. We got, you know what? Kiki.
Hey, Kiki, you gotta go up there,
Kiki. I gotta watch what I say when we online. You know me?
Hey, Kiki, take us on out of here. We'll talk to you next time on I'm From the Zoo.
Yeah, but it's so crazy though. But like me and my man went through a little certain scenario, and I usually don't fuck with people with certain things that I run through.
I can't stress right now.
And you know what, fam? Look. When Doug was telling me like what your name was, I was like, Supreme. Hold on, man. You mean Supreme from Queens?
Hey, what I tell you, Mike Miss? I say he a different type of bro. He a different type of guy, big dog.
Look, I wasn't lying. I lived in New York for look. Biggie gave me my name, fam, in '94. So when you was talking about, and I was there. So when those stuff came out, you know, I was in the industry. I was working at Island Records, and then I was working at SJS. But I was hustling, going around getting those demos, and I would go and run them over here. I was the young kid that would get the CDs from the labels and run them to the DJs, and they would mix the shit up. You know what I'm saying? So I remember probably, but I'm saying all that to say, fam, that was a great interview, bro, and thank you.
That's one of our best. That's one of our best interviews, man. We did like
a lot of cats. They
did
like get in there.
16
See, you don't
of
care about glorifying all that like bullshit. See, a lot of these rappers, they want to glorify what you went through in real life. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly. They all mocking my life. I mean, people who've been through it, we don't want to glorify it.
Exactly. You know,
I don't want to glorify it.
You know,
I mean,
it's hard. It's hard to even go down them memory ways.
Yeah, I talk to various people about it. I meet up with people that I could say, yeah, y'all was with me. But you know, we look at it and we're like, I couldn't succeed in that era because I'm not built like that. Right. In this era, I wouldn't be successful because I'm not built to be able to do what they do.
No, I'm not. We're not built the way they are because you said that you said something so crazy. You said we're built on integrity, fam. And you just said it like you get paid now not having integrity. That was the realest shit you said. When you said that right there, that was real, bro. Because that's exactly what it is. And like we know all the same players. Like we didn't have to get into what Puffy got going on and Dame and all of them because you already gone past them. You know what I'm saying? You already gone past them.
Mm-hmm.
You already gone past them, so you ain't even got to worry about that, man. So like,
man, that was a great interview.
That was a great interview.
You talk Pre, you talk so well, bro. Like you speak with intelligence. This is the shit. You speak very, very well, bro. Like,
and you know
sometimes when people talk, they can't make the deliverance or make them understand. You don't have no problem teaching that. No. You tell a motherfucker from the straight point, I was the muscle, motherfucker. No, we can move on to the next one. You got to skip through all that.
Very mobster, and I didn't even mention the mobster stuff.
Listen,
I know that.
You know what I like to tell people?
Yeah.
I got receipts. First of all, everything I speak about, I got receipts.
Yes, sir.
I got several different people I can make a phone call live, last minute to give my receipts. So that's the difference about a lot of things that I do. And two, I don't like to talk about shit that I don't have receipt of.
Right on.
So again, it goes back to the word integrity, and I could prove it every step of my way with the moves that I make every day, all the way to the moves that I'm making currently.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about mishaps, opportunities lost? I can give you a bunch of those.
You know, I really like the way that I really like the way that we paced going it through, and I appreciate you, like, you know, your patience with me getting through that because you know what, when you said that you was in 74 in Queens, now I knew right away when you was in Queens from the music tip and you was making things move. I knew that you was a lot of the financial behind a whole lot of that artist stuff back there. You ain't really saying, but you was a lot. You had a lot to do with a lot of that things. And then when you were talking about this camp and this camp, you could have prevented a whole lot of things. I meant what I said when that happened with Pac and Biggie. I knew exactly where you right here. I felt that, man. Like, wow.
It's a lot. It's a lot of components.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of people that was protecting me too. You know, I had young cats that I had given them strict, you know, listen, if that person is like this, don't bring them to me. Yeah. Or, you know, one of the mistakes I made in the music business is that the same fearmonger that I fought away from is what was my descendant from not being successful in the music business. See, the music business is a live wire.
Yes, it is.
The same risk you take in the street is the risk you need to be around. If you try to be around, if you make it good, if you do, no, you can't. And that was I was like, you know what? Everybody I stayed away from is who I should have been around. And everybody I messed with is who I shouldn't have messed with.
Vice versa.
I can
Because
dig
I
it.
tried to do this shit correctly,
Right,
and doing it correctly wasn't for the music game.
right.
And and I was like, you
was-
know what? I'll accept that.
Woo-wee, you
It
said a
was a
lot right
lesson
there.
learned.
You said a lot right there, bro.
And I just took the L and went to the clothing. Because what was different with clothing to me was like that brick of cocaine.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I can control it. I can control the narrative. I could orchestrate it. I could keep a closer eye to it. It needs me to move forward.
Yeah.
Music got too much component.
Yeah.
Producer, record label, artist, management, finance, the record store. It's too many components. Video company, radio, DJs, too many components.
Many.
Hey, Preem, they got them watches now that check your blood pressure and shit. And you can start putting your brand on there too, because I'll be using them. It be helping me with my blood pressure and everything now.
Well, I've learned how to calm. I'm calm naturally. That word discipline. And when you look at the music game, I'm wired for the music game.
Yeah.
Because if I pick up the 9 and say, when I say pick it up, if I put in my mind I'm gonna live or die by it, it would have been over for everybody.
Yeah.
The music business trajectory would have been different with me in it than what you've heard about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't want that. I already left New York for that. I left the czar position. So I'm not going to come now to recreate the czar position when the drug would have given me less of a headache, more control, to come to a shit that I got to babysit 10 kids running around.
Doing bullshit.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know exactly what you're saying. Uh-oh, we lost him. Hey, Dub. That was a great interview, man. Kiki.
That was a dope interview, y'all. I gotta go though.
I gotta go too. Hey, tell Preem we said thank you.
All right. Thank you.